One of the big trends that we talked about was AI. Why should dental assistants be excited about AI coming into the operatory?
The biggest thing that I think is great is the patient communication. Patients accept treatment when they understand it. Patient communication really, excels, and they understand what's going on a lot better. The assistant can at least start to explain it before the doctor even comes in the room.
There's a fear out there that AI is going to become a crutch for some dental professionals.
It's never 100% accurate, and it never will be. The professional will look at it and evaluate if it's correct or not. It's good to be upfront with the patient on that. It just makes things so much simpler for everyone.
Hey everybody, welcome back into another edition of the Dental Assistant Nation podcast. My name is Kevin Henry, founder of Dental Assistant Nation, and so glad you joined us. You know, if you listened to last week's episode where we talked about the trends that I saw at IDS, you know full well one of the big trends that we talked about was AI. And so this week, I'm so glad that we can follow up on that and talk to Doug Gillespie from Velmany. Doug, how are you, man?
I'm doing great, Kevin.
Hey.
Great
I
to
know
be
you
here
were at
today.
IDS. Yeah, I know you were at IDS as well. I'd love for our audience to just know a little bit more about you, and then let's dive into AI and dental assistants and what they need to know here.
Right. So thanks, Kevin. So I've been actually in the dental field for a long time, 33 years. Started as a dental consultant, and now I'm doing a lot of dental consulting specifically on the AI side. So the last 5 years, I've actually launched 4 dental AI companies. So the latest that I'm working with extensively is Velmany.ai or Velmany.com, either one. And it's an extensive AI platform on the dental radiographics, 2D and 3D. So they have the bite wings, periapicals, panoramic, and CBCT capabilities. So it's really exciting because, as we all know, everyone's been talking about AI for the last year, but Velmany and myself, we've been working behind the scenes for 3.5 years now on the AI.
So in your opinion, let's just start 30,000 foot view here. Why should dental assistants be excited about AI coming into the operatory?
Well, the first major factor of AI and when I talk AI, there's many different AIs out there. Of course, there's the bots, everything else, but I'm going to focus today mostly on in the operatory and the workflow, the radiographic AI, for example. The biggest thing that I think is great is the patient communication. So patients accept treatment when they understand it. If they don't understand it, they balk, they do not accept treatment a lot of times, or they just walk out wondering what the heck just happened. But with the AI and the colorization of the teeth and the dent and the enamel and the root and the pulp and the caries, they can understand. And even the assistant can at least start to explain it before the doctor even comes in the room. And then, of course, the doctor always comes in, verifies, and gives the final diagnosis because the doctor's always, diagnosis is what really stands, of course.
Sure.
But what happens is the patient communication really, excels, and they understand what's going on a lot better. So I think for an assistant, and the workflow is so easy, it's automatically up in 3 seconds. So as soon as you take that bite wing full mouth series PA, oh, and by the way, the full mouth series is all put in order and the tooth numbering system's all done for you automatically, so you don't have to be doing any of that. And same with the panoramic, of course, all the teeth numbering system's all done in 3 seconds. So it's nice and easy for the assistant as well, too. There's no extra work to be done. Yeah, exactly. It's very simple and easy. And the patients, you can have a discussion, especially if the doctor is late for the coming in. You want to talk about, yeah, that's never happened in dental. So that's one thing that's really good about it as well, is the fact that they can have a communication with the patient. And the reports are fantastic as well, too. They even can bop over to the report. It's a PDF, so they can print it out or they can email it to the patient. So it's a very professional report as well, too, and set up very well for them to understand it. So that's another value add as well to the assistant's role, and of course, maybe the treatment coordinator, as well as the dentist, of course.
I love whenever you were talking about your intro. Obviously, you've been working on this behind the scenes. You've been working in AI for a while. And I think a lot of people, there's a misnomer in our industry that this has just all of a sudden happened. Whereas it's been a slow build to get to this point. And now it's so much of a work smarter, not harder thing, as you discussed. And I think that should be one of the most exciting things for assistants when they're hearing about this technology.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the things a lot of people don't understand AI in terms of dental radiographic, you have to get approval from FDA and in Canada, Health Canada. So behind the scenes, you have dental annotators who are dental professionals, usually a dentist, maybe a specialist, and they're looking at millions. We're running through a machine learning model over millions of images. And once it does an annotation, and the professional will look at it and evaluate if it's correct or not. So this is a lot of work by a lot of people behind the scenes. And so you have to have a 95% accuracy rate to even get approval by FDA. But that's important. 95 is important because one of the things we teach the assistants is to actually say that 95, this is only 95%. This is not 100%. We still need the doctor to come in and verify the results and give the final diagnosis. You never want to undermine the doctor, right? You don't want to have the doctor undermine and say, yeah, the AI says it's a cavity. And then the doctor comes in and goes, no, we're just going to watch that, right? Now the patient's confused. But if the assistant goes ahead and says to the patient, it's only 95%, which is fine, right? Because as we all know, you get 100 dentists in the room and you'll get 50 different diagnoses with caries.
Absolutely.
So it's a challenge. So it's never 100% accurate, and it never will be. It might be 100% accurate on numbering the teeth and things like that, but not caries, for example. Interproximal caries, things like that are always tough, right? It's good to be upfront with the patient on that.
Absolutely. And one thing that I heard at IDS, and maybe you did as well, is that there's a fear out there that AI is going to become a crutch for some dental professionals, that they're just going to say, this is what it says, so it must be right. And I love knowing that there's a 95% because it's still on the doctor, still on the dental team to make sure that what they're seeing is actually what's accurate. I think that's great.
Yeah. So the crutch will be on missed stuff. So 33% of dentists, there's 3 AI companies have done research on this, and dentists generally miss 33%. And we're not talking about glaring caries. We're talking about things that might be an overhang margin or something like that, or a periapical lesion that they never got to that quadrant because the third time the hygienist has been screaming at the doctor about a hygiene check, right? So all of a sudden, boom, they didn't get over to that. Now there's an emergency coming in the operatories or something, whatever's going on, and all of a sudden they never even finished that fourth quadrant that they were looking at. But if you have a report with a glaring red caries on the screen for the patient, for the assistant, for the doctor, there's a good chance that they're going to at least talk about it and get that resolved and discuss it with the patient. So that's where it's valuable as a crutch, because you can't really ignore it because it's glaring. It's a flashing red light basically at everybody in the operatory. So that's where it's, but for the dentist, they're still the final decision maker, and whatever they say goes. And what's really cool about Velmeni software compared to any of the others that I know of is the quick and easy and accuracy of being able to change it in under 10 seconds and annotate it in color on the screen. So let's say the caries is just a radiolucency and it's not caries. They can either delete it or they can circle it and just put radiolucency, change it from caries to radiolucency in under 10 seconds. And it'll be on the report as well too. So that's one of the things I really love about the Velmeni system compared to some of the others I've worked with.
And I want to talk about a very cool thing about Velmeni here in just a second. But I want to ask a question that I've had asked of me from dental assistants, and I'd love your opinion on this. When they're at trade shows and they see Velmeni, they see an AI company, what do you recommend that they do when they come up to the booth so that they can start learning what Velmeni and what other AI companies can do? Is it literally just asking for the demo? Is it literally just trying to wrap their head around how AI is going to help them in their jobs?
Yeah, actually, the one thing that gets missed a lot, and even sometimes in our training team is fantastic, but is the verbiage that I just talked about. Sometimes they don't understand what to say to the patient, right? Yeah, we have this AI, and all of a sudden it comes up, as I said earlier, and there's a radiolucency, not a caries, and the AI detailed it as caries. Oh, that's a cavity. And then the doctor comes in and says, no, it's not. Now the patient's confused. The assistant sort of looks foolish. So I think the verbiage is the best one, how to explain it to the patient as soon as they walk in. And of course, talk about how cool it is. It's great technology. We're a cutting edge dental office. all those things that you want to have the perception in the dental office is important, right? So,
Yeah.
and speaking of that, let's talk about the 3D side as well too.
There we go. That's where we're going.
Talk about cutting edge and high tech is the 3D capabilities, right? So I think over 35% of dental offices now have a CBCT in their office. So let's start from the basics of CBCT. Even the dentists, a lot of them who have been practicing for 20 years, never got trained in dental school how to read a CBCT, how to use a CBCT. So the newer ones are probably even better trained, but what they've done is they've gone to schools or CE education and courses with the manufacturers and learned how to read it. But a lot of times they didn't bring the assistant, right? Yeah. So they didn't bring the assistant, so the assistant doesn't really know much other than how to take a clear image from the CBCT manufacturer rep teaching them or the doctor teaching them, right? So let's look at a scenario of an implant case. So now it's an implant case. The doctor goes, Mary's getting implants. Okay. Oh, yeah, full mouth implant case. Okay, great. Obviously $40,000 or a big case, whatever the dollar amount is. So very important. Mary's got a daughter's wedding coming up. And so there's a timeline, let's say July 1st, right? So that is the wedding. You go ahead and you take the image and nice and clear image, everything's good. And then you send that off to the dental lab with the digital impression scan, which it usually is needed. So now you've got the digital impression scan sent and the CBCT. And what happens is the lab goes, oh, no, the patient's in occlusion. We need them out of occlusion because it's a full mouth case and we can't design the case. Okay. Oh, so let's get Mary back in. Well, Mary's on vacation for 2 more weeks. She can't come back in. Now what's happened, right? That July 1st timeline is getting really, really crunched. And not only is it embarrassing to the dental office to call them back to retake the scan, if the patient's big into, radiation and stuff, and they know a lot about it, they get upset about that. There's a whole slew of problems. And now the lab is upset because now they're going to be crunched, and they're upset because they've got to do the case a lot quicker. So why not use AI and evaluate if everything's done correctly or not? And right. So that's where Velmeni's come in. And it's a product called 3D Verify. So not only do we do DICOM to STL segmentation on CBCT, but when the assistant goes and takes the image, they click a few buttons. For example, even if it's a zygomatic case, if the doctor's doing a zygomatic case, of course, you've got to get the zygomatic process, the whole area, or it's cut off and you won't be able to do it. So the assistant will click upper, lower, or a full arch case, and if it's just the anterior area, whatever. So there's about 3 buttons that they click. And in real time, the AI will run through the CBCT image. About 30 seconds later, it'll give warnings or pass. And so let's say there's 3 warnings. And a good example is that full mouth case I was talking about with the patient in occlusion, which is not a good thing for a full mouth case. A lot of times they want the occlusion open. So it'll say warning, patient in occlusion, put cotton rolls in the mouth and open it up and retake the scan. So now the assistant knows in real time to go ahead and redo it. I mean, they can always walk over to the doctor and say, hey, this patient was taken in occlusion. Should we redo it? Yeah. Things like cut off the mandible, the posterior of the mandible. If it's cut off, it'll tell you that. Same with the maxilla, of course, things like that. If there's too much movement, too much noise, things like that as well, too. It's over 65 AI checks that it'll evaluate in real time within 30 seconds. It's a quality control Velmeni has designed called 3D Verify. And really what it does is it just makes things so much simpler for everyone. It also, by the way, I should say the digital impression scan, the iOS scan from your digital impression scanner also gets evaluated because a lot of times you don't get the whole palate. And if you're doing a denture of any kind, you need a full palate. Yeah. So the AI will evaluate that as well. And so the combination of the two are evaluated. And then you can go to the doctor and say, hey, it's saying the AI is saying that the palate's not complete. What do you think? And then the doctor can look at the image because the image is up there on the screen as well, too, in the platform. And this is all cloud-based. We can integrate with your 3D CBC software. Very easy. We integrate with all of them. So it's all integrated, a platform, cloud-based platform, very simple, and it's $10. roughly around $10, depending on how much volume you do. But you only use it, let's say you're doing only 4 big implant cases a month, something like that. So it may cost you $40, but what about the headaches that it solved, right? It's very, very reasonably priced. There's no software to purchase, which I think is fantastic as well. So the business model is great for everyone. It works well for everyone.
We'll tell our listeners where they can learn more, where they can reach out to you if they've got questions, because I know, again, you're a wealth of knowledge whenever it comes to AI out there.
Yeah, so velmeni.ai is the website. You can always click and ask for more information. So that's probably the best way to get information or more detailed. It's so new. 3D Verify is so new. We've actually are just uploading all the 3D Verify information on the website as we speak. So putting videos up, letting people know about it. A lot of dental labs, IDS, were just putting their hands in their head in shock because they just realized that we solved a pain point for all these large dental labs that do guided surgeries and stuff like that, because it's actually mind-blowing how many times even the wrong arch is taken, the mandible or the maxilla, and it's vice versa.
Wow.
So the percentage we've got on research is about 60% of these guided cases get returned back. So we need to get that down to 0 or close to 0 as possible, and that'll save a lot of time and pain for dental laboratories and, of course, for the dental offices in terms of time constraints for the patient.
Join us at CE on the Beach, June 26th to 28th, 2025, at the stunning Westin Grand Cayman Resort and Spa. This is the ultimate destination event for dentists, teams, coaches, and speakers. Save your spot now and get $150 off with promo code KHENRY. Visit ceonthebeach.com to register today.
Well, Doug, I appreciate you being on today because we know AI is such a hot topic. Again, you and I were both at IDS. You and I both heard and saw all the buzz over there, and I know that it's only going to keep growing from here. So I really appreciate you taking a few minutes today.
No problem. And I'll give you my email address is Doug, DOUG, @velmeni.com. So you can reach out to me personally as an assistant and ask, how do we get this 3D Verify in your office? It's no cost software, so pay for it when you use it. And any doctor in North America can use it today.
Absolutely.
Super.
And we're going to have the website for Velmeni as well as Doug's email address. It'll all be in the show notes, real easy for you to find. So Doug, again, thanks for the time, man. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. It was great seeing you again, Kevin.
Absolutely.
All right.
You as well. And thanks to everybody who joined today on this episode of Dental Assistant Nation. Hey, we appreciate you being on. We're always looking out there for what's coming next, and we know AI is going to impact your dental assistants in so many ways in the near future. Take advantage of the time now to learn about it. Until next time, Kevin Henry, founder of Dental Assistant Nation, and as always, wishing you nothing but success ahead.
All right. Take care.